attention and talk something that's really influential, really close to every one of us. And that is why our environment cannot control and decide who we are. We often hear some 成语 or some story like the people you hang out, 5 people hang out around you decide, the average of 5 people you hang out with decide who you are, right? Um, and also in China we have an Asian story of Mengzi, a very famous Confucius saint, whose mom like moved 3 times to find good neighbor, to have good influence of this great Confucius saint guy, which all mention about how environment is so important to who we become and our well-being, since environment has great influence on us. Um, in some point of view, I can tell this is true because I really believe in feng shui, ancient Chinese culture, a technique to check the place you live if they like make you lucky. Um, but today I wanted to tell more serious that's super important and might change your life, because I know a lot of people don't believe in their ideal lifestyle, and if what this theory of your environment decide who you are is true, they are gonna feel desperate, they are gonna feel hopeless, that they cannot change their environment, and they would have no idea and no meaning to make an effort to become who they wanted to be. So here I am. Um, for example, you're like a lot of people, they work in a company that they don't like their coworker. Their boss and CEOs doesn't really generous or be considerate to make them like relax and rest more. Um, and then they feel very stressful, and the payment of the job is pretty not satisfactory, and their partners are not very nice and perfect, or they don't have any emotional support except their family members or friends, or a emotional partner like, or pets. So they will think like, oh, I don't have this like loving environment to support me, or I don't have this fancy place where I am surrounded with like high quality, a happy people. So I don't live in a fancy villa that makes me feel rest. Um, so this kind of thinking can make things all your life worse, because this mindset is not very beneficial for you. That's why I make this video, and I want to make my claim again that your environment doesn't decide who you are and who you will be. Why? First, think about those people who used to live in very poor place like Oprah Winfrey, or people who used to be farmer in ancient China, Ming Dynasty, the opening emperor, they used to be farmer, the lowest social society. And how can they change the social class from the very bottom to be the emperor of the country? What do you think make the change if the environment decide who you will be? Like the India religion, I'm not sure how to describe it in English. It's like some social class, they cannot get married with different class, or their descendant cannot do certain job in Indian culture, or lower class Indian people cannot be the manager of a company to manage the other people who have higher social religion status. If that was true, that circumstance, the environment decides who you are. How can those people in the history make from the bottom of the society to the top? How could that happen? This doesn't make any sense, right? If all they were influenced is by the surroundings, like the homeless people or the poorest in the farm, how can they become a king? How can they become an emperor? So this doesn't make any sense. And all these are what happened in real history, and there are millions of them. Like Oprah Winfrey. In China, we have a lot, like the famous electronic commercial CEO Liu Xiaodong. He used to be living in a very poor rural area, and then become the CEO of one of the biggest company in the world. So I'm not gonna make you feel stressed that you have to motivate yourself every day, like, oh my god, I'm gonna change my life, I'm gonna be the CEO of Google, I'm gonna be the king of India. No, you don't have to do that. That's too pathetic. That's too sad. We want to lead a happy, delightful life from the moment of now. The second reason is, besides what the historical people, the example I mentioned, the second reason is that you can't be influenced by your environment, but you can decide not to be influenced and ignore them. I'm gonna elaborate it. For example, if you're still a teenager and the way your parents manage you, educate you, make you very unhappy and feel not understood, or they kind of a little bit violent, you can choose not to be influenced, even though it's so hard, because they're just beside you. They're in your area. How come? Because Einstein said imagination occupy the 99% of people's success, rather than the 1%. It's your hard work. So imagination. How can you imagine? You can imagine that. You can imagine a different parents. Another way, if you live in a very shitty place because you cannot afford in a fancy place, or where happy and wealthy people live, you can choose to live in a bubble of your imagination. If for example, your neighbor is very unpolite, uneducated, they will make a lot of noise. You use earplug. You use earplug. I have earplug. You use earplug, and just imagine that you live in your ideal place. You know where you wanted to live, right? You know where you want to live. I'm gonna show you a picture. You know where you want to live, right? Yeah, like I said, put more sign or pictures of your ideal place around you, so that remind you where you live. Another way, or you really want some emotional support, we can say a loyal dog, a loyal partner, a very loving family member, or very supportive friends. All of them, if at present you don't have one, you can imagine one. Let me tell you why this is not crazy. Because why you want a partner? You want to feel loved, right? Why you want a friend? You want to feel connected. You want to feel not alone. You want to feel You want to feel understood. Why you want a loving family member? You want to feel supported. You want to feel like no matter what happened to you, someone is going to be there, hold you when you fall down. Why you want a pet? You want to feel the crazy, full, and enormous love and loyalty from your pet, right? Your dog. Um, how about having feel it now? Because all these are just a bridge. All those are just a bridge that make you have that feeling of feeling love, feel supported, feel strong, and I feel well seen. Anything a bridge. If that's the bridge, when you pass the bridge, all you want is that feeling. Why not have the feeling now? If you think I'm crazy, you can try now. For example, let's talk about money. Money is something that everybody care, right? So, why you want to have $1 million? Why? I'm sure most people want to feel secure in the life. They want to feel like they don't have to do a job they don't like, so that they can do things they're happy. Um, they can just relax. They don't have to do anything. They just lie on a sofa, right? They want security. Money is the bridge. You just want to feel secure. Or, like I said, some people use money to buy relationship, buy love, buy friends, or buy a comfortable residence. What what are all the things you buy you want to get from lover, partner? You wanna feel loved, right? Yeah, and maybe a resident, you wanna feel like comfortable, peaceful. You wanna feel you are loved. You wanna feel you are good. You deserve it. So just directly feel you deserve it. Directly feel you are loved. Directly this moment feel that you are secure, forever secure. Um, um, if you're gonna let your environment decide how you feel, who you are, um, your life is over now. Your life is over. You don't have to do anything anymore because your friends decide who you are, your company decide who you are, your parents decide who you are, and maybe your country decide who you are. You don't have to do anything. You are animal. Maybe you're even less than animal. Animal are fight for their survival. You don't have to do anything because you think how dare this kind of environment, people, beauty, and country, city, pets, parents can decide who you are. My third reason is that mm, your environment cannot decide who you are. It's also because we are human. We have soul. The the difference between people who have soul and who don't have is you are the character in the game, and those who don't have soul, they are NPCs. So um, we can create our life. Look, here is some flower. I'll tell you a story. So this flower one day, I was thinking like, oh, I need some flower that has a lot of like leaves because flower usually I have bought from florista um, only have flowers. So one day after jogging, I walk on a park, and I was thinking like, oh, how about I steal some of the grass from the park? But then I feel guilty because if it's like from public. You know what? I met a gardener. He is like training all this grass and from these trees. These flowers are fallen from the tree that trained by this gardener. So this is a waste for him. So I go to him like, oh, can I have some of your like grass? He said like, oh, you can have all of them. You choose whatever you want. It's a whole cut there. So I get it for free, and it's so much better than I expected. It's so beautiful. Anyway, next video I'm gonna talk more about why, if you like switch your mind to don't believe that your environment decides you, and how your ideal lifestyle, like ideal life, come to you.